up the slides, and we've got some brand new content to go through today, which is really quite exciting. Social media for business is the topic, and we're going to cover the 5-step process to get warm introductions to new prospects, which social media sites are right for your brand, scripts for contacting followers with sales opportunities, and the 3 keys to becoming a perceived expert in your industry. So these are things that we've developed over years of training people on how to use social media for business, and also running lead generation campaigns for a number of industries, both business to consumer and business to business. And we're finding that business these days is becoming more and more a people to people scenario, and it really is about relationship building in order to be successful. And the guys that are leading the sales figures for most businesses these days are really harnessing the power of social media. Just a little bit of background about who we are. We specialize in social media and social selling exclusively. So that's all we do. We focus on, lead generation, training, social selling, and content marketing. And these are just some of our clients here. So this is where we focus all of our efforts. My background personally is in digital marketing and sales. So I've done all facets. And when I started my career, I was focused on search engine optimization, and then I moved on to Google advertising, and now on social media, because that's really where the action is at the moment. As we go through, we're not going to necessarily have a chance to capture all the questions and go through them in detail. We've only got a limited amount of time. So if you do have any questions as we go, feel free to shoot me through an email or respond to the invitation that you were sent, and connect with me on LinkedIn by all means. And at the end, I've got a gift for everybody that's here live, and that's a free personal branding workbook. So you can actually go through that, fill in the questions, and work out, what your personal branding strategy is for social media. Okay, this is one quote that I always like to start with. It's 2014 and 99% still market like it's 2004. So why might that be? Generally, it's because people like to use a marketing medium that's proven and tested. And by the time we've got enough case studies and statistics to run by, normally the marketing that people are comfortable doing are old school. And a perfect industry to use as an example is the real estate industry. Nothing wrong with the real estate industry, but it's very easy to differentiate yourself if you do change your marketing a little bit, because a lot of the agents will be doing the door knocking, they'll be doing the fridge magnets, they'll be doing the letterbox drops, and it's all very old school. Whereas if people are, agents are hopping onto social media, they can literally dominate their market within, 12 months or so. Okay, so this is an interesting statistic, and this is really getting into, which social media platforms are right for you. 75% of B2B buyers use social media to make purchasing decisions. Okay, so that means if you're in B2B and you're not using social media, you really are missing out on a big stage of the buying cycle. And B2B buyers are 5 times more likely to engage with sales professionals via warm introduction than cold outreach. So there's this common misconception that if you approach someone, say on LinkedIn, for example, that it's a cold, a cold outreach. But if you're connecting with somebody first and they accept your connection request, and you post content and you engage with their content, and you almost develop a relationship, and it is very much a warm introduction, depending on how you go about it, of course. So which social media sites are right for your brand in particular? Okay, it all comes down to strategy, right? So if you're in B2B, these are the most effective platforms. Number 1 is LinkedIn. Okay, this is 2016 content marketing trends from North America, from the Content Marketing Institute. Twitter is a close second. Then YouTube. SlideShare is right up there if you're in B2B. SlideShare, by the way, is now owned by LinkedIn. Okay, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Google Plus at the bottom. Now, if you're in B2C, which means you target individual consumers, let's say you're in retail, or you operate a restaurant, or a Boost Juice, or whatever it may be, Facebook's going to be the most powerful, especially if you're in fashion or photography or events, things like that. People like to share content on Facebook, and the advertising platform is extremely targeted these days. The amount of things that you can do and cross-reference, different segments of the market is pretty amazing. YouTube close second again, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+. Okay, now I want to focus on LinkedIn, and the reason being, this is a social media for business webinar, and this is the world's largest professional network. You know, this is a little bit out of date, so there'll be over 350 million members worldwide. They're forecasting 1 billion by 2020. Okay, in Australia alone, there's over 7.5 million members, which is pretty much 95% of the white-collar workforce. So we're seeing the biggest growth area in students at the moment, getting onto LinkedIn. But when the platform started, it was all about recruitment, and there's a lot of marketers and salespeople now using it, and it's very easy to take advantage of the ease at which you can make connections and how you can find such key decision makers very targeted if you know how to do it. So there's 2 new members joining every second, 50,000 posts per week, and there tends to be this trend towards higher income bracket earners and well-educated people, on LinkedIn. And most of the people on there do have some sort of decision-making role in what they do professionally. Okay, so when it comes to LinkedIn, Google searches account for 40% of profile views. What does that mean? So if somebody is viewed, if you've had 100 views on your profile within a day, it's likely that 40% of those came from somebody typing your name into Google. So it's really important what your LinkedIn profile says, and no different to your Facebook profile if you've got one. They'll show up on the first page of Google, and it's so important these days to own those little bits of real estate. If you don't have, if you search for your name on Google and you don't own over 50% of the search results, then you really need to be setting up social media profiles so that you can control what people see. And the last thing you want if you're in sales or a marketer is for somebody to see a copy of your CV, because that's not going to speak to your customers and your prospects or potential business partners and associates. But if you are looking for a job, then by all means, have a CV up there, but make sure it looks good, because that's what people are going to be looking at. Okay. So if that's your social network, and let's say you've got 500 connections, some people say to me, oh, I've got 10,000 connections, what could you possibly show me how to do? This is really where the value is. It's not so much where the immediate connections are, the people you know already socially. It's the opportunities with the second degree connections, because if you've got 25 clients and all of their friends are visible to you, you can quite easily see how easy it is to pinpoint which ones would be suited to what you do and get either an introduction or make a warm approach to that particular prospect. Okay, so I want to get straight into some stuff that you can take away. And so we're going to start with the LinkedIn profile. These principles do apply across other social media profiles as well. So create a professional brand, and the workbook that I'm going to give you at the end is going to help with that. First and foremost, complete your profile 100%. LinkedIn wants to give its users a good experience, just like Google does, just like Facebook does. So you want to complete, the bare minimum at least, so that they show your profile, with high visibility, and use a tone that matches your customer conversation. Okay, especially with your LinkedIn summary, you're really selling yourself short if you start with, I started my career back in 1993, and then I had a change of heart, and I did this, and you're telling a story about your career. But really, if you could, you tell people exactly what you do and why straight away, and show them your passion, you really do stand out from the crowd. So it's worthwhile getting a professional copywriter to write things like your LinkedIn profile, and add content such as SlideShare decks, videos, pictures. You want to make it as engaging as possible. People aren't going to read just big blocks of text. Those days are over. It's people are far too time scarce to do that. And showcase your skills. It's pretty much common sense, but you can see there my headline's got keywords in it. That's designed like that because people are using LinkedIn for a search engine. So you want to put in keywords just like you would on your website in your headline. And LinkedIn is a very easy search engine to manipulate. So it hasn't evolved like Google, and Google almost acts like a thesaurus now. But with LinkedIn, the more you put in keywords in places such as the headline or your experience title, or even through the body of the profile, the more likely you will show up towards the top. In fact, if you just change your headline at the top here and your main experience headline, I'd argue that you'd probably be number one in your network, because that's how easy it is to stand out, because a lot of people don't know where to start. Okay, profile photo is obviously important, and then more connections you have, the more visibility you'll have, because people always see their first connections first. In terms of like your address and so on, it is important to put the city and postcode in the address bar, because what will happen is your prospects will search for service providers in your area by using postcodes and cities. So if you don't have that information in your profile, you're not going to show up. Okay, now you'll notice where I've got websites there. You can see I've got keywords there: social media agency, LinkedIn lead generation, LinkedIn training course. You can select, whether you wanted to advertise a company website, a personal website, a blog, or other. And if you select other, then you can actually put keywords in. And by the way, I'll make these slides available after the webinar, so that you can go through and do these little checkpoints, and also personalize your LinkedIn web address. Okay, if your profile is fully optimized, and we've got a checklist of about 18 steps that we go through, these are the sort of results that we've seen in the past. And this particular profile, if you look at the how you rank for profile views graph there, it was getting literally no profile views at all each day, and then within a space of a week, it was getting 91 people reviewing their profile within a day. Okay, and the profile was ranking within the top 3% of profile views within the network. Okay, so you want to be reaching decision makers. So ask yourself, who is your target market, and who are the people that you want to engage with? So for example, if you're in higher education, you may want to target HR managers. If you're in marketing, you may want to target sales directors. And if you're, let's say, doing what I do and generating leads for people who are in business to business, you may be looking for the head of commercial or even the CEO. Okay. And then you want to engage with your network, with whether it's emails or status updates, liking their posts, endorsing them, comments, shares, whatever it may be. You want to communicate and create that engagement, and think of it much like a networking function. You want to be shaking hands, giving out business cards, and getting to know your network. So make sure it's a quality network. Obviously, if you're going to be spending the time there, it's very important that these guys are the right target market, and it can be extremely powerful if they are. Okay, so here's a case study of how you could actually put some of this lead generation stuff into practice. This is a college for adult learning here in Richmond in Melbourne. This was one of the first campaigns we ran a couple of years ago, and they received 122 leads within 1 month, which was pretty outstanding. And they had to actually pause the campaign for a few months to catch up. But you can see they were targeting HR managers. Obviously, they're in adult learning. And we've got 3 segments there: hospital and healthcare, food production, and not-for-profits. And the process that we went through is it was just a 3-step process where we send connection requests on LinkedIn to key decision makers, and then from the ones that accepted, all of those would get sent a message and say, hey, I've had a look at your LinkedIn profile. I noticed you're the HR manager. I'm looking for somebody in your industry that's looking to expand their adult learning programs. Are you free for a chat sometime next week? So that process, we sent out, like, let's just look at hospital and healthcare, for example, 582 connection requests, and out of those, 42% were accepted, so 247 new connections. And we got through sending 206 messages out of those new connections. So all of the people that accepted the connection request got a message saying, thank you for connecting, I'd like to have a chat about, see if we can do some business. And then we've had almost 24% of the people that received the message said, yes, sure, here's my phone number, let's have a chat. And obviously that translates to business. If their conversion rate at the back end is just 20%, then they've got 9 or 10 sales there. And then you've got the food production, which was even higher at 38%. From message to lead, and then not-for-profits was a whopping 40%. So yeah, it just goes to show, if you measure your results, you can find industries that work extremely well. Okay, so we've talked about the LinkedIn profile, which is really step 1, and then find the people in your target demographic, connect with them, and then engage with them, create opportunities with your new network. So what's step 5? And this is something that I see so many people miss, and it's really is the most important, because a lot of people will do all this hard work and then they forget this last step. take the conversation offline. Okay, you're never going to do a business deal on LinkedIn. The purpose of LinkedIn is literally just to generate an opportunity. It could be to generate a meeting, but I'd always suggest having a phone call first so you can do further qualification. Because if you're doing this correctly, you'll be doing volumes. Hundreds of people are going to be getting connection requests every month, and you're going to be sending out lots of messages. So you want to make sure that you don't waste your time, in appointments if people aren't ready to do something, right away. So take the conversation offline. I can't stress that enough. Okay, so it's all very well, saying that we send these messages and we get leads at the back end, but what do you say? What are some of the scripts that work, to get appointments or sales opportunities? Okay, here's an example of what not to do. I've just copied this out of our LinkedIn Insider course, which is our online training program. This is a message I received several months back. And aside from the fact that the English isn't perfect, it's all about the person sending the message. So you can see we are a certified digital marketing company. We have helped shape the business for more than 10,000 clients, blah, 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 blah. Okay, people aren't necessarily interested in, what you do if they don't know who you are. So you really want to shift the whole psychology and make it about the person you're writing a message to. Okay, this one's not bad. Just a quick one to say thanks for accepting my invite. The idea is now we're connected. Hopefully we can find time for a face-to-face just to see if maybe my product might be of value to your clients. Really appreciate the opportunity. And I didn't necessarily mind that, but I think, again, it's all about what's in it for him. And if you worded it differently and said, hopefully we can find time for a face-to-face just to see if maybe your product might be of value to my clients, then I might be more inclined to reply, but not bad. Okay, here's one we did for a client. Okay, this is somebody that helps fuel growth for builders. I've had a look at your profile, interested in catching up. We're seeking someone in the building industry who is serious about their growth objectives, and it seems like it could be an ideal fit. How are you placed for a telephone chat? Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Very brief, very basic, straight to the point, but very effective. Here's another one. This was for a business coach. I've had a read through what you do, and there seems to be a lot of synergies with the clients that we like to work with. I was wondering if you'd be free for a chat so I can learn a bit more about what you're doing and see if there's a fit to offer some support. How's Monday? So you can see how vague these messages are, but what's going to happen is the person receiving this is going to click on their name, have a look at their profile, and if they're impressed by the LinkedIn profile, they'll respond. So it's important that your LinkedIn profile is obviously, playing its part. Okay. 3 keys to becoming a perceived expert in your industry. Okay, well, first and foremost, you need to define your personal brand. Again, the workbook will help you with this. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So find out what it is that's different. What's your competitive edge? Okay, and start posting content, have an opinion. Talk about things that your audience might be interested in. And if it doesn't necessarily have to be about what your product or your service. If you're selling air conditioners, you don't necessarily need to write about, the latest air conditioners. You could be writing about, where's summer tropical holiday homes to go on holiday, or you could be writing about, the temperature in, Tasmania at this time of year, or whatever. It can be whatever you decide, but some sort of relevance does help. And then your updates are the shorter posts. And if you post things like pictures, quotes, anything like that, people do engage quite highly. People like those quick snippets, especially if it's inspirational. On the likes of LinkedIn, people love an inspirational quote or something to do with motivation. So have a go at that and just see what works for you. And with these long posts, you're looking at doing maybe one a month, and that'd be quite good. And if you're in doubt of what content's going to work and what's going to be engaging, go and have a look at some of the headlines and see what the recent topics are that people are writing about. Because in Pulse is the content that you'll see. These are the most engaging posts. That's how Pulse chooses its content. And so that being said, if your content is really engaging, Pulse will promote you, and you could go from literally having 100, 200 views to literally hundreds of thousands. So write often, yeah. Definitely make it a habit. The worst thing you can do is just write once, try it, and give up. You want to keep, the market, entertained, but also just build your skills and keep going. It makes a big difference, and you carve out a brand for yourself. Make the conversation two-way. If somebody comments, even if they just say great article, just respond and say thank you. What was it about it you liked, or whatever. The more comments and likes and so on and so forth that you get on your articles, the more visibility they will get, and that goes for all social media platforms. Okay, social proof. For those of you that haven't heard of this term yet, social proof is a little bit like TripAdvisor, you know, when you get all these votes and people comment, and if you're looking for a restaurant, for example, Urban Spoon, I think the name's changed now, but you can look at the reviews of, you know, how many stars on average it gets out of 5 and determine whether or not a restaurant's good or not. It's no different in the business world. So in the online world, social proof is power, and that's really why people are leading more towards social media than websites, because on your website you can tell people how great you are, but on social media it's all about engagement. It's what your customers are saying, and that's really how you can build trust online. So taking a very basic example, let's say you're looking for advice on how to keep your houseplants alive. You find 2 articles. One has been tweeted 5 times on Twitter. The other has been tweeted 500 times. Which one do you read? Okay, so the post is set to ignite because of this social proof alone. You pick this post because of a number. The content success may have little to do with the actual content. So this article could just be really well marketed. You know, it could be shared in the right places, got a number of followers, but people will pick the one with more engagement. Okay, so how do we tie all this together? Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And a lot of people that I know that generate leads on LinkedIn do not measure their results. Same with Facebook. They kind of have a rough idea that they're spending so much and they're getting so much out the other side. But how do they, you know, improve the search, improve the results if they don't measure in more detail? So what are your desired results? Let's literally just write down some numbers. If you've got a pen and paper in front of you, how many people do you want to send a message to if you're in B2B on LinkedIn, for example? And if, let's say, for example, let's put some numbers here. Let's say it's 500 and your lead to appointment conversion rate is 10%. So you're meeting with 50 of these people, and then your appointment to sales 30%. You're getting 15 sales, and that can be in the course of a month. So if you times that by 12, you're getting 180 sales per annum with only 500 engagement messages per month. So you can really see the full potential of the system. And after 6 months, you may decide to do twice as much and send 1,000 engagement messages, and you really scale your business. And there's not really any limitation to the number of prospects you can attack on LinkedIn.